What's up, guys? Today we are reacting to OceanGate. So, have you heard about this?
I heard some on the news.
Yeah, I heard about it too, but I never really looked into it. All I just know that people had passed away because of it. So, Today we're reacting to a video specifically called "The Shady Company Behind the Lost Submarine is Worse Than You Think." So, I'm actually curious. I don't really know anything about the company or like the actual business behind it. So, I'm curious as to why they were so bad.
Did they ever find the bodies?
I actually don't know the answer to that question. Do you?
No.
Oh.
You think I'm going to ask you a question and I know the answer?
Sometimes.
Alright, let's watch.
It's 4 a.m. on Sunday, June 18th. A submersible called Titan begins its dive down to the wreck site of the Titanic. Approximately 1 hour and 45 minutes later, Titan loses contact with its mothership.
So an hour and 45 minutes in, they lose contact? I wonder like what the protocol is. When they lose contact, do people try to go find them right away or?
Yeah, what I wonder too is like, was it like super instant, like 1:45 and then it's done, or was it like breaking and they're like, fuck, something's going wrong here? So like, do they find out at 1:45 or they're at 1:20? They're like, shit, something's kind of glitchy here or something.
Yeah, I mean, I know it's really expensive to go down there, so I would assume they had like some really good backup stuff for if this happened, but I don't know. Let's see.
Assuming it didn't implode, likely sinking down further to the Titanic's final resting place, 12,500 feet below surface level. The 5-person crew, including 4 passengers, and the CEO of the company behind the excursion.
If you look at this thing, I don't even fucking see a window. Are they looking at the Titanic through a TV screen or some shit? I don't see one window in there.
I didn't pay close attention, but I mean, yeah, I guess
that's crazy.
Windows maybe are just easier to
break, yeah, for sure.
Because what I heard was like every one besides this one was like all one piece of metal made of one. You know, this one was
multiple
carbon
pieces,
fiber or something, so it's a little different. So can you put windows in?
I don't know.
In that, if it's, I don't know.
Then what's the point of fucking going down? Just to feel like you're near it?
Yeah, that would be stupid, actually.
Yeah.
That's like going to a football game and not watching the field,
yeah, just watching on your
screens.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, why even go?
Yeah, I don't know.
Well, because there's a whole bunch of people down there cheering, but this is not. It's only yeah.
Excursion are now all alone in the vast, dark depths of the ocean. With no means of communication, no GPS capabilities, and a limited air supply, they sit in the small titanium vessel that would more than likely become their coffin, hopelessly rethinking their...
I saw like a window in the front there.
Oh, was there?
Possibly. I mean, it was like a circular thing. I don't know if it was metal or a window, but I don't know. We'll see. I'm sure they'll show it.
Choice to make this journey. Simply put, this is the stuff of absolute nightmares. It's tragic and, unfortunately, may have been very avoidable. Stories like this should be analyzed in great detail because they reveal a lot about human nature and the darker side of company morality.
See that?
Yeah.
OceanGate Expeditions offers you the once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to be a specially trained crew member safely diving to the Titanic wreckage site.
OceanGate Expeditions is a privately owned company that specializes in organizing extended expeditions, which last up to 9 days, catering to tourists who are willing to pay substantial fees for the opportunity.
How much, so, like, for this particular one, you're down there for 9, you can't be down. How do they go to the bathroom?
No idea.
I mean,
I'm sure there has to be one on there, right?
I mean, I think it's small. It looks small.
Yeah.
It has to be uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Opportunity to explore shipwrecks and underwater canyons. In addition to serving the tourism industry, the company also offers crewed submersibles for commercial projects and scientific research. As mentioned on their official website, the company was established by Stockton Rush, an aerospace engineer and pilot who holds the position of Chief Executive Officer, and like we mentioned, is one of the 5 crew members in the Titan. The Titan was developed by OceanGate and was touted as the world's only crewed submersible capable of descending to a depth of 4,000 meters, or 13,000 feet below the ocean's surface. This remarkable capability allowed...
Let's see. They're showing like how far down it is compared. So whales only go down, dang, they don't go down far at all. So they don't have whales or nothing that far down.
That's crazy.
Sonar doesn't even go. Sonar goes 1,300 feet, 13,000 feet. So frantic search 12,500 feet. Damn, they had all kinds of people looking. They couldn't find them in time.
So that's like almost like 3 miles down.
Yeah.
Because 1 mile is equal to like 5,280 feet. That's crazy.
3 miles.
Jeez, yeah.
I mean, I jog a mile to 3 miles. It doesn't seem that long.
It is when you're going fucking straight down.
I guess.
Yeah.
You're going straight down. Yeah.
Since 2021, OceanGate has been offering guided tours of the Titanic wreckage site, with guests paying $250,000 for the very unique opportunity to visit the location. The industry has been surprisingly popular, with many millionaires and billionaires taking part, as well as some people who have spent decades saving up for the opportunity.
She's been saving up to see the Titanic for 30 years.
Some people buy a house.
So this person was saving up for 30 years just to go down to see the Titanic?
That's so bad.
That's what they're saving 30 years of their life for.
That's crazy.
So then, like, after they go down, now they're broke again because like, they used everything they saved?
What?
How could it be that good to see?
Yeah, I just don't understand. Like, space would make way more sense to me.
Really?
'Cause, I mean, yeah.
To spend all your money that you make for 30 years?
I'm not saying I would do it, nor does it really make sense, but I'm saying more sense than this. Like, I can fathom this. Like, I can imagine what that shit looks like. Space,
Well,
it's a
yeah, because
different
you've
feeling.
seen so many pictures of it.
Yeah.
But in space, you've seen plenty of pictures of too.
Yeah, but you don't know what it feels like for zero gravity and shit like that. Like this, you're just fucking like there and you're seeing it, you know? I don't know. It's just a fucking shipwreck.
They're both kind of cool a little bit, but not like that cool. Not cool enough.
The money or the risk?
If you're a billionaire, then who the hell cares? The risk is so minimal. Like, did anyone ever die doing this before? This is the first time that I know about. I mean, maybe there's... So, I mean, the risk was very minimal. The amount of money for a billionaire is irrelevant. For someone that's saving up their whole life, it's fucking insane.
Yeah. This company's definitely fucked now,
Yeah.
right? Like, there's no way they can recover from this.
I mean, they can't make stuff... Who would ever go down with it?
Yeah.
They'd have to make something totally different.
Yeah.
And change the name. Like, I remember when I was younger, there was an airline, and it got a couple crashes, and they changed the name.
Oh, really? They rebranded? Yeah.
Yeah, it was one from Florida, but anyway.
I wanted to go to Titanic.
Unfortunately, with the recent loss of Titan on its voyage to the Titanic site, several shady practices have come to light. So let's take a look at each of these concerning elements to this story, and more importantly, what lessons we can take away from them.
So, I've watched a little bit about it on the news, but I don't know anything about the shady stuff, so that's kind of interesting. Let's see what's shady about it. It can't be too shady because the freaking person that owns it goes down every time, so he obviously thinks it's fine.
Yeah, you'd also think there had to have been massive regulation, right? Like,
why would there be regulation? I mean, how many people do this? Like, what type of regulation is there?
I mean, I would think it would be similar to like the auto industry, where like you have to go through certain testing.
No, because there's not many that do. Like, it's not like a.
But like submarines is an industry. Like they fucking make submarines. You gotta test that.
But
shit.
not that go down that far for passengers.
Yeah, I guess that's fair.
What type of. What if you go to space? Is there like a regulation? I mean, how many things go to space? You know,
Yeah.
SpaceX.
You can't gauge it.
Yeah, there's no regulations. I mean, there are probably some, but probably not much.
Yeah.
And the first red flag to this story is simply the death contract. It might sound a bit dramatic to call it that, but as Mike Reyes, a former passenger on the Titan, points out, death is mentioned 3 times on the first page of the waiver that the company made each passenger sign before getting on board.
You sign a massive waiver that lists one way after another that you could die on the trip. They mention death 3 times on page 1.
Now, waivers oftentimes don't cover anywhere near what companies say they cover in a legal sense. But the lesson to take away from this is simple. Trust your gut. Don't assume things are safe just because a company says they are. And if you see red flags in something, it's probably a good idea to walk away. In many ways, society has conditioned us to be much more trusting than what is natural to us. That feeling you get in the pit of your stomach, you should listen to it more often, because it can save your life.
I do like the that whole saying, like, trust your gut. Like, literally, almost every time I trust my gut, everything works out the way I want it. But when I don't trust my gut, that's when problems happen.
Yeah.
So it's real important. Obviously, not just with life and death, but just relationship, with money, with anything.
Yeah. With this though, like, waivers are normal. Like, that shit is normal. To have death 3 times on the first page of any sort of waiver is normal. Like, we went skydiving. I'm sure we signed some shit that was even way more elaborate than 3 times on the first page, you know?
I guess.
I would assume.
Nobody reads it.
Yeah, nobody reads it. But, like, trust your gut. Fuck, if my gut was telling me in this specific instance, I would fucking trust it. I mean, it seems like a super big company.
I mean, if my gut would say it's fine, there's been a whole bunch of other people that went down there, there's no problem. Like, what would be a red flag not to do it?
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean? Especially the fact that the owner of the company goes down with you every time, you know?
Yeah.
That's like...
That's huge. He's putting his life for it.
Yeah, like put your money where your mouth is.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what this guy does.
Experimental submersible vessel that has not been approved or certified by any regulatory body.
Well, there you go. It doesn't have to be.
Damn,
It
so
doesn't
it's
have to
not.
be like regulatory, or there's nothing to look at.
Yeah, that's huge.
Yeah.
And could result in physical injury, disability, emotional trauma, or death. Where do I sign?
Don't ignore red flags. And in the case of the Titan, a contract that listed all the horrible ways one could die wasn't the only red flag, because it seems like they cut corners on parts and safety. One of the parts of the story that's circulating quite a bit is the fact that this submersible was being piloted by a video game controller.
We run the whole thing with this game controller.
No fucking way is that true.
I mean,
What?
but let's just say it is or isn't. Why is that bad if it's a really expensive good one?
It's $30.
Oh, it's a real $30.
Yeah, they said that's the exact one they just showed.
Oh, so it's not like a special one made just for that.
I guess.
But you know what? But if they've gone down dozens of other times and there hasn't been a problem, then you know.
But how could that be the best solution? Like, there's no way that could be the most efficient way to do that. That's crazy. Oh my god, that's fucking
They won't use it
insane.
anymore.
Come on!
In fact, people have actually found the exact controller on Amazon for $30. Now, we can't say we know anything about the mechanics of deep ocean-faring
There's
water.
no way it's the same exact one though. There's no way it's the exact same one.
It looks pretty fucking similar.
It could be similar, but
Watercrafts, but this seems bad. The CBS Sunday morning piece that was broadcast 6 months ago really shines a light on the level of carelessness OceanGate may have been guilty of.
We can use these off-the-shelf components.
I got these from Camper World.
With many parts of the Titan seemingly being Mickey Mouse
pause
and
it.
Ocean.
That remote that they just showed in depth just said Logitech on it, which was the exact remote. Like, it's Logitech is like a fucking company you buy mouses.
yeah,
and
but
shit
maybe
from.
they made a special one for him.
Maybe.
Yeah, I mean, you know, they didn't have to be the exact one.
Seeing as people died, I would probably.
But
say
it had
they
nothing to
did.
do with the remote. The reason why they died had nothing to do with the remote. It had to do with the actual vessel not being strong enough.
You know what it reminds me of?
The
It's
remote
like,
had zero to do with it.
it's like when you go to a house and you see something like blatantly horrible, and you're like, "Fuck! If this is something visually I can see, imagine what's underneath this shit. Like, it must be even fucking worse." That's what it reminds me of. You know, it's like the first thing you see, and you're like, "Damn, that's not a great impression," and then they fucking die.
Yeah.
I don't know.
OceanGate CEO Stockton Rush not only being dismissive of those concerns, but outright agreeing with the assessment and finding it humorous.
There's certain things that you want to be buttoned down. So the pressure vessel is not MacGyver at all, because that's where we work with Boeing and NASA and the University of Washington. Everything else can fail. Your thrusters can go, your lights can go, you're still going to be safe.
Others have criticized overall design choices for the Titan. For instance, the submersible being white is a red flag. Being white poses a challenge, as if it emerges, it would make the submersible extremely difficult to spot from the air. And what makes this even worse is the fact that the crew is literally bolted in from the outside.
The crew closes the hatch from the outside with 17 bolts.
Meaning, even if they were to surface, they would still run out of air unless they were found. Butch Hendrick,
Oh crap! I didn't know that.
Yeah, that's
so
a-
you seal the thing from the outside, and there's no way to open it. So if you happen to pop up, you can still run out of air. That's crazy.
That's crazy.
There's
Because initially when they said that, I was like, oh, that's not a big deal. Because if you were to go under, you can't open that shit because of the pressure of the water.
Right,
but,
but-
if you were to resurface and
Yeah.
you're just fucking stuck in the thing, that's fucking crazy.
And the fact that they said it's really hard to find because it's white. Like, why
Yeah,
not make it a
doesn't
color?
Make sense. That
Yeah.
almost seems like something you could fix so quickly.
Yeah, you just paint it a different color.
Yeah.
Wow, yeah, I didn't know any of this stuff.
Yeah.
president and founder of Lifeguard Systems, who has been teaching and developing rescue services for over 30 years, even criticized the vessel for its lack of basic safety systems.
What would have helped is if the submersible had releasable transmitters.
And outright saying that he would have never gone on it.
Would you have gotten into this submersive? You don't have
No.
to answer, but I'm curious.
No, I would not.
And on top of that, it gets even worse. In the CBS Companion interview, the CEO of OceanGate Expeditions says this.
There's a limit. You know, at some point, safety just is pure waste. I mean, if you just want to be safe, don't get out of bed, don't get in your car, Don't do anything. At some point, you're going to take some risk, and it really is a risk-reward question. I said, I think I can do this just as safely by breaking the rules.
That response is so mask-off and honest that it's actually incredible that nobody within the OceanGate company had blown the whistle over how careless it seems things were done. Well, actually, they did. Let's talk about previous documented safety concerns. OceanGate has a track record of safety concerns surrounding...
Can you go like onto Google and search like people that were on it, like what concerns they had, or...
No, I know that there was like families that had come out to like talk about what they said previously. One of them, I know, like I think it was a billionaire, had taken his like son, like a younger son.
Yeah.
And like the mother had said that like the son was really scared to go on it, but like wanted to do it to like make his father happy that they did it. And like they ended up being on this. So like.
Oh, they were on this one?
Yeah, they were on this one.
I know there was a father and son.
Yeah, that's what happened. Yeah.
Yeah, but I'm saying is, have there been people that came up afterwards and posted, oh, it was not safe, or it wasn't, you know.
Yeah, I don't know.
Like previous people, not people on this particular one.
Right.
its equipment. These concerns were raised by a former submarine pilot who was terminated for expressing doubts about the structural integrity of the vessel. According to legal records from a lawsuit in 2018, David Lockridge, the former director of marine operations at OceanGate, had previously alerted the company to possible safety issues regarding their submersible Titan. Lockridge, a skilled submarine pilot from Scotland, joined OceanGate in 2015 as the captain of the Titan, which was still in the development phase. According to court records, Lockridge expressed growing concerns regarding the company's failure to conduct thorough testing on the submersible's hull, which is crucial for withstanding immense pressure during dives to great depths in the ocean floor. He alleged that the paying passengers would be unaware of the experimental design, the absence of non-destructive testing on the hull, and the use of hazardous flammable materials within the submersible. Despite his insistence, the company declined to cover the costs of non-destructive testing and unmanned pressure testing, and according to Lockridge, he was terminated after informing company executives that he would not authorize any manned tests of the submersible until the required testing had been completed. How accurate?
Do you know how many vessels that they actually had, or was it just that one, or did they have multiple?
They had 3.
3 that were all being used?
They had 3, and they did over 200 dives.
Between the 3?
Yeah.
So
that's really not that much.
300 dives?
200 dives.
200 dives?
With 3 vessels.
So you have 200 dives and nothing's ever happened.
Yeah.
You gotta feel pretty good about it.
I feel pretty good.
Yeah.
That is like, in the grand scheme of things, that's a very small sample size. Like.
Oh, of course, but there's nobody else really doing it.
Yeah.
I mean,
I guess someone has to do it first, right?
I mean, something has to go wrong at some point. How many times before something goes wrong?
Yeah.
They should have had like a backup plan though. If, I wonder if there's a way to make it to where if it implodes, it like
can only implode so far back.
Yeah, maybe there's like a vessel within a vessel, so one implodes, the other one, I don't know, whatever. I'm sure they'll come up with a lot of new things.
What these claims are, obviously, is still unclear. With that said, the lesson to take away is this. Some companies will lower safety standards if it means cutting costs or increasing profits. It's just important to know that this does happen, and you shouldn't defer to or blindly trust a company with safety decisions that directly impact.
I'm sure there's tons of companies that do that. Like that's very common to lower their costs and have the safety not quite there, but they still think, even though the safety's a little bit less, they still think it's safe.
Right.
They're not like just making it unsafe to make money. They're making it just not the safest possible, but still safe enough.
But like what I would think is going through like these rooms when they're talking about that is like, okay, like what percentage chance do we have of a liability occurring? What's the cost of liability, and is it cheaper to do to have that happen than to do the first thing, or will it ruin our company or will it not?
And how long will it delay everything?
You're right, yeah.
But yeah, I mean.
You. Now let's talk about OceanGate's response, specifically something that is very telling, that being the 8-hour wait. Another very concerning detail that has emerged is the fact that after the mothership lost contact with the Titan at 9:45 a.m. on Sunday morning, the incident was not reported to the US Coast Guard until 5:40 p.m., 8 hours later, and the Canadian Coast Guard was only alerted at 9:13 p.m. on Sunday night. In such a dire situation where time is truly of the essence, this obviously seems like quite the wait. As time passed, experts became
I'm trying to think of any reasonable explanation as to why that would be the case.
Wait 8 hours. Why wait 8 hours? I would think 30 minutes is plenty of time to wait. But I'm sure there's a reason. But they have. Did they say how much time they had of air? it was multiple days though. It was like 4 or 5 days, I think. So 8 hours is significant, but in the scheme of 4 or 5 days, you'd figure that they'd be able to find them with, I think the reason why they did 8 hours is because they knew they had 4 or 5 days.
Yeah, between 70 and 96 hours.
Oh, so 3 days, 3 to 4 days.
Yeah.
So they had 3 or 4. So that's like a big part of it. 8 hours out of 3 days is somewhat significant. Yeah,
for sure.
Increasingly concerned about the crew's chances of survival. Now, one can only speculate the motivation for this delayed response in alerting the Coast Guard, whether it was the belief that they had it all under control, or the fear of a public relations nightmare. It leaves us with our final lesson. Companies...
I wonder, how, let's just say they, the Coast Guard started right away. How many, vessels does the Coast Guard even have that could go down and get someone if they need to? Do they even have,
They probably don't have anything that can go to that, because this company's the first company to make something that could go like that.
I think there's other ones that could.
Oh, really?
But I don't know, on a rescue mission, how would they? I mean, I think there's a lot of things that could go that deep, just maybe not with people, right? Without people, you could still do it. But I wonder, what type of protocol they have that if this happens, what are they supposed to do to save someone? Or how do they find? And they couldn't find anyone. There's no GPS or anything in it to where they could find that. You should be able to have GPS 3 miles down, shouldn't you?
Yeah, that's what I would think. I don't know.
You have GPS in space.
You know what I'm thinking too now is how this affects Jeff Bezos, Elon Musk, a couple of richest people in the world. They're investing heavily in this space tourism.
Right.
Right. Elon Musk is doing SpaceX, and Jeff Bezos has his space company as well.
Right.
This is definitely going to impact it. If you're a civilian, you're fuck, I'm never doing some shit like that. It's just not worth the risk.
There's some people that are just daredevils and want to do the craziest shit. This won't stop them.
Yeah.
I mean, think about it too. They'll be you know what? I just got to do a little bit more research on the company that I'm taking there. What type of...
And I got to see the safety precautions myself.
What type of safety precautions they take. Now people are going to care about that a little bit more than before.
Yeah.
That's what I would think.
First and foremost, will cover their own asses. So always cover yours. Stories like these are terrifying and tragic, but they're full of important lessons. So use those lessons and make good choices.
By the time we're done testing it, I believe it's pretty much invulnerable.
And that's pretty much what they said about the Titanic.
That's right.
That's crazy. I just, the fact that whole thing happened is insane.
I think the owner of it that died down there, I think in a way, if he had to think of the way he wanted to die, I bet you that would probably have been the way.
Yeah, I'm sure it wasn't the rest of theirs. So
no, for sure not.
So
definitely not the kid.
That's brutal.
So what's cool about this story is that I did hear a lot of stories about this, but everything on this particular story, I never heard that stuff. This is the first time I heard most of that stuff.
Yeah.
I heard totally other things that they didn't even talk about here.
Yeah. So if you didn't hear about this, let's say 6 months ago, right, before any of this comes to light, I go, Abraham, there's this crazy opportunity. We can make the craziest YouTube video of doing this. And then you see all the statistics previously. Do you think you'd ever consider doing something like that? Obviously not.
Before this?
Yeah, before this.
I mean, not for $250,000, but for a reasonable amount.
Yeah. What's a reasonable amount, actually? What's the dollar amount you would have paid to do that had it?
$5,000.
$5,000?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that seems about.
I mean, it's not because I don't think it's worth more than that. It's just it doesn't excite me more than that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. What about space? Would it be the same number? No way that could be the same.
I still wouldn't spend much more going to space. I'd spend a little bit more, 2-3 times that. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'd kind of be I don't know, how long am I up there? What do I do as I'm going up there? I don't know. Can I go out and touch stuff? If you can go out and touch things, then it's a little bit cooler.
You're I mean? $100,000 if I can touch some shit.
Yeah, I mean, maybe if I could bring some shit back, I could probably sell it. Anyway. If I could go into the Titanic and grab some shit, I bet you can make a lot of money selling that shit.
Not what anybody else's brain is going to.
I don't know.
That's funny.
Real Titanic memorabilia or real space memorabilia. I mean, that's I don't know.
Yeah.
I heard from another story. I didn't talk about this one. That Mr. Beast was supposed to be on this particular submarine.
That's fucking crazy.
He was supposed to be on this one. He has text messages back and forth, and he's oh, I can't make this one, but I'll make the next one.
Yeah.
So he was actually going to be on the next one.
That's wild.
If this one didn't happen, the next one happened, and that one, Mr. Beast would have been on there.
Jesus.
What would have happened to the #1 YouTube channel that exists?
Yeah, that's crazy. I I don't know how true it is, but I know that he said on a video that he planned a video in case he died, where all of his friends do a crazy big video about competing for the rights to his channel.
Yeah.
I don't know how true it is, but I wouldn't put it past him.
But let's just say that happened. I'm sure that that's the case because that'd be the coolest thing, and that would be something he would come up with.
It's on brand, yeah.
But who could duplicate his shit? How good would that channel be?
Now he has like fucking hundreds of employees. I'm sure like he's probably built a replica of himself to some degree.
It's probably pretty damn good, but it's not him.
Yeah. Well, I know like when Steve Jobs died, he planned out like 10 years worth of Apple shit before he died. So it had a lot of.
But there's a lot of stuff you don't know that you
he
don't
probably
know.
Yeah. That's fair.
Yeah, but.
All right, guys. If you guys like this video, like, subscribe, comment down below. Let us know what videos you want us to react to in the future, and we'll see you guys in the next one.